As of today, California is in economic hurt to the point where every penny we spend is digging us into the ground of economic collapse. As of today, California has passed an unconstitutional piece of legislation disallowing same-sex marriage. That is why we, the affirmative, are arguing in favor of the legalization of same-sex marriage, not only for equal rights to all, but to help stimulate economic growth. Contention number 1. This problem is significant and demands change now. Subpoint A. California is moving towards deeper economic poverty. In the Los Angeles Times, Alana Samuels and Duke Helfand, September 13, 2011, state that the number of Californians living in poverty grew for the 4th straight year in 2010. More evidence that continued high unemployment and a struggling economy are weighing on the state's families. About 6 million Californians have incomes below the federal poverty line of $22,113 for a family of 4 in 2010. Census data released Tuesday showed that 16.3% of the population, up from 15.3% in 2009. The U.S. unemployment rate was unchanged in August at 9.1%. In July, the state's unemployment rate was 12%. And in August 2010, the unemployment rate was 12.4%. The unemployment rate is derived from a federal survey of 5,500 California households. Subpoint B. Poverty leads to a higher risk of mood disorders, substance abuse, and suicide. By Psych Central News Editor. Reviewed by John M. Gruel, published by Archives of General Psychiatry. On April 4, 2011, researchers have documented a connection between low socioeconomic status, or those who are poor, and the likelihood of also being diagnosed with mental illness or having attempted suicide. The researchers also found that a decrease in the person's income level is also associated with a higher risk for anxiety and mood disorders, as well as a higher rate of substance abuse. Subpoint C. The debt in our economy, the debt in our country is so large, anything can help. Bill Watkins is a professor at California Lutheran University and runs the Center for Economic Research and Forecasting. And he states December 2009 that according to the California State Treasurer's Office, California has over $68 billion in public debt. But the Sacramento Bee's Dan Walters had tried to count total California public debt, including that of local municipals, and his total reaches $500 billion. Whatever the amount, the impact of the default could be larger than the debt amount would imply. Other states, New York, Illinois, New Jersey, for example, are almost in as bad a shape as California. The realization that a state could default would shock markets every bit as when the Lehman Brothers failed. Given the precarious state of our economy, the financial sector, another fiscal crisis would be disastrous. We are not to that point of poverty where every little thing we can do to help create more revenue will help. One of those things is allowing same-sex marriage. It is inherent that the status quo changes, and this will not be accomplished on its own. Contention number 2. Proposition 8 violates California's Constitution. William N. Eskridge and John A. Garber, professionals of Judiciary at Yale School of Law, 2010, writes, the California Supreme Court ruled that the state's exclusion of same-sex couples from the institution of equal marriage constituted discrimination, violating Article 1, Section 7 of the California Constitution. Chief Justice Ronald George's opinion for the court held that the discrimination had to satisfy the stringent demands of strict scrutiny, both because it denied a fundamental right and because it employed a suspect classification. We will have to solve this major problem in our economy by allowing same-sex marriage. Contention number 3. Same-sex marriage will help create more revenue in our economy. Subpoint A. Same-sex marriage will boost state economies. Yami Goldberg and Peter Cooper, professors of public policy at the Williams Institute at UCLA School of Law, May 2009. As of September 2008, 12,167 same-sex couples living in Massachusetts were married. This study provides one of the first empirical assessments of the claim that marriage will provide an economic boost to the state economies by increased wedding and tourism spending. Lauren Shreve, journalism and mass communications major at the University of North Carolina, stated June 28, 2011, a report from the Independent Economic Conference projected that same-sex unions would generate about $284 million in additional wedding revenue, and tourism put another $27 million in taxes and license fees into the state's coffers. Subpoint B. Same-sex marriage in California proves California's constitutional commitment to family equality. Melissa Murray, a teacher at Berkeley School of Law specializing in family law, Criminal Law 2008 states, I argue that the decision's legacy goes beyond simply expanding marriage rights in California. Although the decision has been lauded as introducing same-sex marriage to California, it also permits the states, in the name of family equality, to eliminate the marriage labeling in favor of another status that would apply equality to same-sex and opposite-sex couples. Subpoint C. Same-sex marriage will help California's economy. An article in the Associated Press of June 2008 says a study issued by UCLA's Williams Institute for Sexual Orientation and the Law projected that gay men and lesbians will spend $684 million on cakes, photographers, and other services over the next 3 years, unless voters reverse the High Court's ruling in the fall. The researchers found that in about half of the states, more than 100,000 same-sex couples will get married during the next 3 years, and an additional 68,000 out-of-state couples will travel to California to exchange vows. The study estimated that over the period, gay weddings will generate $64 million in tax revenue for the states, $9 million in marriage license fees for countries, and some 2,200 jobs. It is clear that the deficit is a lot more than what funds will be created by allowing same-sex marriage. But same-sex marriage will create more jobs, and the $1 billion that is generated is better than no money at all. That is why we, the affirmative, think same-sex marriage should be legalized. I am now open for cross-examination.
So you talk about there being a debt, but you also talk about there being problems with drugs and poverty. What's more important to you, drugs and poverty or debt?
I think they're of equal importance because I believe that poverty includes drugs and everything, and the debt is putting us into more economic poverty.
Okay, well, the money we make allowing same-sex marriage, what will that go towards?
It's going towards the government, which in turn could help the people who are going through poverty and get them so they aren't using drugs and abuse.
Okay, so basically spending the money on programs.
Not necessarily. It depends what kind of programs we're talking about. It could either be the programs for like creating more jobs and everything. It's just going towards the government more likely. And then the government decides how it's dispersed out. And by the government having more money, it gives more opportunity for other programs and to bring out of the poverty.
Okay, well, how will that help the debt if we're spending it on programs right after we get the money?
It'll help the debt because we're still generating money that wasn't generated before. And we are still spending that money on programs and everything. We just have none to spend. So now at least we're putting some in that, like the threshold of money, and giving an opportunity for it to be spent on other things instead of just going deeper and deeper into debt.
Okay, if denying same-sex marriage is unconstitutional, why is the majority vote for it? Why did the majority of people vote for it?
Because people don't like change. And since change is unliked, it is less likely to be voted for. And people just don't realize that what they're doing is unconstitutional.
Okay, so you would say that the majority of the people in California are unconstitutional people?
No, but I say that they have... Yeah, I'm just going to stop there.
I'll hear from the first negative constructive.
Hello and welcome all. I'll be the first negative constructive speaker. I would like to go on a case-by-case basis, arguing against their contentions. To contention one, we agree with them that there is a significant problem. As we all know, there is a significant problem in the economic status of California. We all know that. But we agree to their contention, their subpoint A and their subpoint B, because their numbers don't lie. California is economically hurting really bad, as we all know that. But they, if you can refer to their subpoint B, our opponents say that that lower poverty levels affect people's moods in a negative way and create substance abuse problems. I would like to refer to a piece of evidence out of our own. Our first contention against that would be that same-sex marriage will encourage people to enter a dangerous lifestyle. Dr. Robert Ben, a PhD from University of Chicago, postgraduate study at Hamburg and Cambridge University, in speaking out of why gay marriage would be harmful in Christianity Today, writes that gay marriage will also encourage teens and who are unsure of their sexuality to embrace lifestyles that suffer high rates of suicide, depression, HIV, drug abuse, STDs, and other pathogens. This is particularly alarming because, according to a 1991 scientific survey among 12-year-old boys, more than 25% feel uncertain about their sexual orientations. And when we see that that allowing their plan would also create a negative effect in substance abuse and also mood problems. We move on to their second